The cops showed up because I refused to join Karen's fancy HOA picnic, but when her own daughter screamed, "Mom, stay off that lake," everything exploded. You won't believe what happened when they found out I owned the lake. The police lights flickered across the lake like lightning in daylight. Karen stood with her arms crossed, clipboard clutched, screaming about lake property violations. I watched from my dock, confused and furious. All I'd done was refuse to attend her birthday picnic, the same one she'd demanded every neighbor pay for. 2 officers approached me, hands resting on their belts. "Sir, there's been a complaint you're trespassing on HOA property," one said flatly. "HOA property?" I repeated, half laughing. "Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who've faced unfair HOA rules too. Officer, this lake, this dock, is mine." My voice trembled with anger and disbelief. Karen shouted, "You're lying, Walter. The HOA manages all common spaces. You can't just ignore our events." Her tone dripped entitlement and pride. I gestured toward my boathouse deed framed inside the cabin window. "Maybe your rules stop at the fence line, Karen. But this water belongs to me." Before I could finish, Karen's daughter, Lily, stormed down the hill, phone in hand, tears in her eyes. "Mom, stop," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay off that lake, you'll lose that fight." Everyone froze. Even the officers turned toward her, stunned. Karen blinked, speechless for the first time in her life. That was the night everything changed in Clearwater Shores. The moment when a community feud became a war over pride, property, and the truth. And it all started because I refused an invitation to a birthday party I never wanted. When I first moved to Clearwater Shores in 1999, the lake shimmered like peace itself. Quiet mornings, trout biting, and no one telling me what to do. Then came Karen Barlow, bright cream blazer, perfect haircut, and a voice sharp enough to cut glass. She introduced herself as the new HOA president. "Welcome to the community, Walter," she said, smiling. "We keep things neat here. Uniform fences, painted mailboxes, approved gatherings." I nodded politely, unaware she'd soon try to control every breath of this place. She even scheduled mandatory lawn appreciation days. I ignored most of them, choosing fishing over fake smiles. My daughter, Allie, used to laugh, saying, "Dad, you're her least favorite member." By 2002, Karen's influence grew. She collected signatures, rewrote bylaws, and talked about expanding HOA rights to shared lake access. But that lake wasn't shared. I'd bought it long before the HOA existed. Every inch, every ripple, it was legally mine. Still, she pushed boundaries. "You can't fence off the dock," she'd complain. "It ruins the view for our parties." I let her talk, never fought back, until her latest idea, a community birthday picnic hosted on my dock, without my permission. That was the day I told her no. Calmly, firmly, and with a smile. I didn't know that one word would ignite everything she'd ever buried. And soon, I'd see just how far Karen would go to prove her power. A week before her party, Karen slipped an envelope under my cabin door. Thick cardstock, gold lettering, like she was hosting a royal banquet. HOA lake picnic and birthday celebration. Attendance mandatory for all residents. My stomach twisted as I read the words. Mandatory? I owned the lake. But to her, ownership was just an inconvenience standing between her and control. I walked to her house that afternoon. The porch smelled like lemon polish and arrogance. "Karen," I said, holding the invitation up, "you can't host your party here." She grinned, unbothered. "Oh, Walter, don't be difficult. Everyone's attending. It's just good neighbor spirit." "Spirit?" I laughed softly. "You mean rule." I turned to leave, but she called out, "I'll make it official through the HOA if I must." I looked back, calm but stern. "You don't have jurisdiction over my lake, Karen. Don't test me." She folded her arms, face tightening. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "No one says no to the HOA president." That night, My phone buzzed with neighbor messages. "She's serious, Walt," one said. "She's threatening to fine anyone who skips her event." I sat on the dock under the moonlight, the lake whispering quiet warnings. I'd lived long enough to know, when pride meets power, someone always drowns. And I wasn't planning to be that someone. The morning of the picnic, I woke to laughter and chaos echoing across the lake. Bright tents, banners, and coolers lined the shore like an invasion. Karen strutted down the hill in her cream blazer, barking orders. "Keep the cupcakes by the dock. The balloons go near the waterline." I watched from my porch, coffee in hand. "Unbelievable," I muttered. She was setting up on my property without permission. When I walked down to confront her, neighbors froze. "Morning, Walter," she said coldly. "Glad you decided to join after all." "I didn't," I replied. "Pack this up, Karen. You're trespassing." Her jaw tightened as if I'd just insulted royalty. "You can't trespass on shared property," she snapped. "The HOA approved it." I pointed to my posted sign, "Private Lake, no public events without permission." "You approved it on paper, not in law." Her cheeks flushed red. "You're ruining my birthday," she said. "Don't make me call the police." I shrugged. "Do what you need to." Then I turned and walked away. That single gesture, walking off, cracked her ego wide open. Within minutes, sirens blared. She'd actually done it. And as police arrived, neighbors whispered, "Did she just call the cops over a picnic?" The war over water had begun, and I was ready to finish it. The officers approached cautiously, scanning the lake as Karen pointed furiously in my direction. "That man is violating HOA law," she shouted. One officer sighed. "Ma'am, HOA rules aren't enforceable by law enforcement." But Karen didn't stop. "He's obstructing community property." I stepped forward, calm but stern. "Officers, I own the lake. I have deeds, maps, and state registration documents inside." Karen laughed mockingly. "He's delusional. No one owns a lake." The officers exchanged looks, half skeptical, half entertained. I gestured toward my cabin. "Come see for yourself. I'm not arguing, I'm proving." As we walked inside, Karen trailed behind, muttering under her breath. The framed deed hung proudly on the wall beside photos of my late wife. The younger officer read aloud. "Deed of water rights, Clearwater Lake. Registered 1995 under Walter Jennings." He looked at Karen. "Ma'am, this is legal ownership." Her face drained of color. "That's impossible." The older officer stepped outside, radio crackling. "Ma'am," he said softly, "I suggest you pack up your event." But Karen shook her head. "No. We'll fight this." And then, before anyone could respond, Lily screamed from the dock. "Mom, stay off that lake, you'll lose that fight." Everyone froze again. It was the same sentence that would echo through this town for years. And finally, Karen's empire began to sink. When the crowd dispersed, Lily stayed behind, trembling. She looked at me with tear-streaked cheeks. "Mr. Jennings, I'm sorry. She shouldn't have done this." I nodded gently. "It's not your fault, Lily. But you knew about the deed, didn't you?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Yes. I found it months ago in the county archive. Mom told me to delete the records. She said it would raise her home value and her reputation." I sighed deeply. "You did the right thing by speaking up." She looked toward her mother, who sat on the curb sobbing into her clipboard. "She's not evil, Mr. Jennings. Just desperate to matter." Her words stuck with me. For the first time, I saw Karen not as a villain, but as a lonely woman drowning in control. Still, I couldn't let it go. I had to protect what was mine. "Tell her to leave the lake alone," I said softly. "Next time, I won't be this forgiving." Lily nodded, glancing at the calm water. "I think she finally knows that now." But I wasn't sure. Power doesn't fade easily, it festers. And Karen wasn't done yet. 2 weeks later, envelopes appeared in every mailbox. Another HOA special meeting. Inside was a petition to reclaim Clearwater Lake for community use. Karen was back. Despite humiliation, she wanted revenge wrapped in paperwork. I stormed into the meeting hall. You can't reclaim what you never owned, I said. Karen smiled tightly. We'll see. Majority rules. I pulled out my legal notice. Actually, state property law rules. I laid the documents on the table. Touch my lake again, and I'll see you in court. Gasps rippled through the crowd. One man whispered, "He's serious." Karen's hands trembled, but she forced a grin. "You're overreacting, Walter. It's just community spirit." "Community doesn't mean control," I said. "It means respect. Something you forgot the day you called the cops over a picnic." Silence fell. Even her closest supporters stared at the floor. Karen's daughter rose slowly. "He's right, Mom. You went too far." Karen's face cracked, pride giving way to regret. For a moment, she looked almost human again. I walked out without another word, the weight of peace and vindication balanced on my shoulders. But deep down I knew this wasn't just about property. It was about reclaiming dignity in a neighborhood built on fear. Weeks passed quietly. The water shimmered, and life felt normal again. Until one foggy morning, I heard shouting near the dock. Karen's canoe was drifting, unmanned, toward the center of the lake. She'd fallen in while trying to clean debris, her pride too strong to ask for help. I grabbed a rope and rowed out fast. When I reached her, she was shivering, clinging to a buoy. "Need a hand?" I asked, trying not to smirk. She nodded, exhausted. "I didn't mean for all this," she whispered. "It got out of control." I pulled her aboard silently. The air was cold, but the truth was colder. When we reached shore, I handed her a towel. "Karen, you don't have to control everything to be respected." She looked down, tears mixing with lake water. "I just didn't want to disappear." That day, something changed. Not forgiveness, but understanding. She canceled the petition, resigned from the HOA, and left the community within a month. The lake stayed mine, but peace, finally, belonged to everyone. And sometimes, when the sun sets, I swear I hear her laughter echo faintly across the water, like the sound of pride finally learning to let go. 20 years have passed since that summer. The lake still glows golden at sunset, and my grandchildren fish where chaos once reigned. People still whisper about the day Karen called the cops over a picnic. I keep her clipboard in my shed, a reminder of what control can cost. Lily visits sometimes, bringing her kids. "Mom lives quietly in Arizona now," she told me once. "She regrets everything." I smiled gently. "Tell her she doesn't need to." The lake became a symbol of boundaries, how peace requires saying no, even when everyone else says yes. When visitors ask why I never sold it, I laugh. Because freedom isn't for sale, it's owned. As the sun dips low, I sit on the dock and whisper, "Still mine." And in that quiet, I remember the moment it all began, with a picnic, a phone call, and one brave daughter who shouted the truth. The lake holds every echo, every tear, every lesson about pride, love, and letting go. And for once, silence feels like victory. Now, when people ask if I hate Karen, I just shake my head. Hate doesn't float, it sinks, like anger.